I want to take a second, since we've been working with you for 15 years, it's really to kind of see if we can go back a little bit, if you can remember that far. I have a hard time remembering that far sometimes, but we've been through quite a bit, since we first partnered. And I'd like to start up by just kind of asking, when you started working with us, it actually wasn't great. It was Fisher at the
Fisher.
time. Yep, it
Yeah.
was Greg at the time. Um, can you remember from that point, maybe what some of those biggest challenges were or frustrations you guys were facing?
Oh, definitely. When we first called Greg in, we were hosting our own Microsoft licensing on our in-house server. I
Mhm.
had a gentleman that was a friend of one of the employees who would come in and help us manage it and set it up. I have no IT background whatsoever. So I needed to find someone to help me, and we
Yeah.
host we hosted everything. We had a minimal network going on, and we were starting to see as we got more employees. We were always small and we've stayed small, but the demand on the network of technology and everything we started buying had to be hooked up to the network, right?
Hmm.
Everything, and Wi-Fi and all that. So that's when we decided that having a friend of an employee wasn't enough IT support. For
Yeah.
me, it was becoming too much of my job to try and figure out, okay, what do we need now? How do we fix this? From something small like printers not working that day to um, implementing new technology or installing a new scanner
Yeah.
or equipment in that way. So that's when I called Greg up, and him and Arvin, and there was a third gentleman, I can't remember his name. They came in and just told us, hey, we can support you remotely and really help your infrastructure. And so really what Greg and the team came in and did was they helped us manage all the Microsoft licensing, and then ended up, as technology advanced, we sent it all to the cloud, and
Right.
I didn't have to put in new servers, and they just over time have changed everything from us holding it in-house to a lot of cloud-based support in that respect.
Okay. Awesome. Um, if you can kind of remember some of the motivation, like what was it that was like, okay, this is going to be the right direction, to move things forward? Can you remember like what clicked for you? Like what was that deciding factor to say this is going to be the right path?
To work with Grit,
Yeah. Yeah.
just how much time it was taking out of my day to
Mm,
research and to work in an area that I'm not skilled at, right? You need
yeah.
everyone has a skill set, and to best manage your time, you give that skill set to the person who has those strengths. So talking to Greg and the team allowed me to understand that there's no way I can continue moving forward trying to manage this all myself, doing research. Back then, Google wasn't as big as it is now, right?
Right.
The answers didn't come as quickly. So there's a lot of time in research. But even now, with that, you see AI at the top of Google, it can give me a basic answer, but I'm not going to trust Google. I'm going to trust a company that I've worked with
Hmm.
and respect, and we've worked together and we've built together, you know, because I want to make sure my company information is safe and secure, and my employees are constantly being productive. And I need a person behind that to help me make those
Right.
decisions and to ask my specific questions. So when I'm struggling on something, to give an exact question and get the exact answer or know the direction to go, I'm going to rely on Grit to point me in that direction more so than the internet.
No, 100%. No, that's great to hear. I do that myself where, I can get an answer from Google or ChatGPT or Perplexity and the AI programs, but it's even been shown that it's wrong sometimes. You can't always
Right.
trust, everything that's there. So, but we can trust, people that we've worked with for a long period of time. So I totally get that. And um, can you kind of going back to the early days again, was where was their impact with your organization in regards to IT? So in regards to like your ability to serve your guys' clients, and run, the lab at that point. Was there anything that was impacting you? Was it just you taking time? Was it you not being available, or was there other things going on that was really impacting the business?
The way our business model is set up, our infrastructure affects only the employees, not our clients per se.
Hmm. Okay.
So it was the productivity of the employees to get their information and get their data, to store it, to collaborate.
Mhm.
So really, Grit set up for us a server and we started hosting instead of everyone saving their information on their individual computers, which they were doing.
Oh
We
my
were
goodness.
just,
Yeah.
yeah, we were just starting to use the server. First we initially only used it to host email, but then starting to use it to host our actual data. And that's really when photographs changed to digital, because our
Hmm.
business did photographs that used to be 4 by 6, 35 millimeter film.
My
So
goodness.
really, our technology developed and such, we needed so much data support. And so as technology changed and moved forward and required more storage, Grit made things easier for us to access it and to make the decisions on what is the best way to store this.
Hmm.
I mean, initially we were paper files and started doing computer and tape backup. So you guys
Hmm.
helped us implement I didn't have much backup before then. And so Grit really helped us realize we not only are we building this infrastructure, now we need to make sure it's not lost. And so I would say that getting our team to really have access to information. I mean, if you're going back in the beginning, Grit helped us find ways to store our information, collaborate as a team, even before technology advanced to where it is now, right? So now it's pretty common that we're sharing information and accessing it remotely. But back when we first hired you guys, that wasn't common, at
Yeah.
least to us. We couldn't
Yeah.
see what technology was coming forward to because it
Right.
wasn't as easy to find, I would say.
Gotcha. No, no, that's good. Would you say there were some risks, and you call it downtime or even compliance risk early on?
Mm, I wouldn't say we had too much downtime. I
Okay.
think you guys did a good job of planning it and making sure we knew what was expected of each project. Because with every
Mhm.
project, you're going to have a little bit of downtime, but I've never had an issue with anything you have implemented that has had us down for a long period of time. You're usually within the time frame in which we know it's going to take if you're switching over servers and such. And you do it all behind and then bring it into the office and it should go.
Right.
Yeah, I can't ever think of a time where I was frustrated because we were down. No.
Yeah. So having the proactive approach to it, letting you guys know when these things need to be, updated, the scoping of the projects, and the planning ahead, going through that timeline from start to delivery to, turn down, that process is obviously helps streamline and obviously resolve a lot of those potential headaches that could be happening when it comes to this
Yes.
type of stuff. Yeah. Okay.
And all the
Awesome.
monitors you guys have on our system and our network, when the cable, back in the day when the cable line went down and,
Mhm.
you guys were always aware of those kinds of things and talked through how does that affect our business? Do we need something? Do we need to be back up in 1 hour? Do we need to be back up in 4 hours? Does it affect us? For our
Yes.
business model, being down for 4 hours isn't a big deal. But I know, like, if you're in a store or doctor's office, something like that might make a difference, but it never made a difference for us. But you
Right.
guys always brought these to our attention that these were things that you could help us with if we
Mhm.
needed it. And so,
Yeah, that's one thing I like with what we do is the forward thought. That's one of the things I liked that when I started working with Greg and Grit was we're not just here to, fix things when they break. It's like we have a plan. There's a roadmap to keeping people in compliance and, keeping things, maximize the uptime, but also maximize their investment into this stuff too. To say,
yes.
the like let's get the maximum value out of all of this,
Mhm.
because it definitely is not cheap. and 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 to think through that proper planning, and I think that's where I think personally, and I'm not saying you have to agree with this, but I think that's why we're having such long-term relationships with a lot of our clients is, that we can stay. We've been together for 15 years. It's a wonderful thing to see. So versus
Yeah.
some of the other things in the industry where you see a higher turnover typically, within a couple years and so forth. But just switching a provider in general is just that's just such a headache. I mean, that I can't imagine doing that multiple times over the course of a 5 year period.
Especially,
Yeah,
especially in IT, like I can't
yeah,
imagine having to do that. So um, I'm happy that this relationship has worked so well from the first time I made the decision. I mean, there
awesome.
were little bumps
Yeah,
in the road when you guys acquired more, like when you went from Fisher to Grid and working out
yeah,
the kinks like any company has. But Frank Senior, I worked
hmm
with, and he was great as my account rep, communicating. And I just call him, I'm like, Frank, and he'd
yeah,
get on it, and it helped you guys as much as it helped us, right? Because it helped you understand what Grit needed to work out the kinks and um,
absolutely.
build
Yeah,
both of our businesses together, really.
I think that's a partnership. You gotta receive that feedback. You gotta listen.
Mm,
You gotta be present. Not everything in business is gonna be, all hunky dory, but you're gonna have a little bit of that friction, but that's where growth happens, I think, on both ends. So, which, well, we've got a good team, we've got good people, and I think that's one of the biggest things, I think going for us is that, the quality of people that we're bringing into the organization, they have the right attitude. They might not necessarily have all the technical skills immediately, but you can teach that. And
right.
it's the soft skills that really truly matter. What I call soft skills, lead with empathy, be proactive, all of that stuff is all important. Um, Kind of going back over the years, is there anything that stands out that might have been like some of the bigger projects or maybe changes we've worked on together?
I would say really our RAID system, our data backup to the cloud. Those were large projects for us because we're data heavy.
Hmm.
Um, and VPN, which I know is small on your guys' end, but obviously helps us immensely. Um, really making those decisions because our RAID system is so expensive and is the crux of our business. It's important to really make sure that those financial decisions are made. In IT world, you're like, how long? And we've always been the type, I used to keep a server for a long period of time beyond what most people would. And so I like to get my most out of my money. And
Right.
so you guys have done a great job of respecting that on my part, not trying
Hmm.
to get me to spend more money than I need to,
Hmm.
but also be expandable and work within our company goals. So,
Gotcha. Speaking of those goals, like have there been any key upgrades or projects, around like the server, cloud, cybersecurity that have made a difference for you guys?
it all makes a difference, honestly.
Fair,
I
fair. Yeah.
right. Every decision that we make with you guys makes a huge impact on what we do day to day. And so I look at IT as one of the most important parts of my business because it's what keeps my employees productive. If they
Right.
can't access their software, if they can't access their email or the server from on the road, because we have people out on the road, but they're so data heavy, we need them to remote in. We can't have them carrying this data out in the field. And so it's
Right.
important that every aspect of IT and security being right in today's society, that's the biggest issue. And you guys have always been ahead for us on keeping up with that. One of my favorite things is you guys bringing Dashlane to us in the
Oh,
world.
you're awesome. You're running Dashlane. That's perfect.
Yeah. And having that in our wheelhouse makes a huge difference because
Uh,
keeping
Speaking, go ahead.
everything secure is a nonstop issue.
That's obviously a big topic for you. So talking about Dashlane having a password manager, um, and just kind of cybersecurity as a whole, what are those? I guess my question is, what are those things that are standing out to you that we are helping and staying ahead of the curve, as you've already said? What are those things that you have concerns about and where we're helping fill, the providing a solution for you?
Well, we're in our office, we're really good at using the same password over and over.
You, you
So,
and you and you and most of the United States. So
although I would say since Dashlane has been implemented into our work with most of the staff, you still have some people that struggle with using it. I love the fact that it creates security. Uh, it creates my passwords for me.
Mhm.
I've learned to trust that I don't actually need to know my passwords to
Right.
trust the security things that are in place to keep all of our accounts. And by having separate passwords for every single program that you log into does keep it safe, right? Because if
Mhm.
someone finds one password, they're not going to get into every aspect of your work.
Right.
So that security and keeping my firewall in the building, you guys manage that. And so making sure that no one is trying to tap into our building. And the fact that we have data in the building that we back up to, and then that backs up to the cloud, and knowing that even if they get into the building doesn't mean they're going to get into the cloud. It protects our data. And so if they did bypass security, we can still shut it down and be up and running again off the cloud data and rebuilding
Mhm.
the server. You know, all, that is security of mind to me, knowing that my information is in multiple places, has
Mhm.
high levels of security. And I'm small potatoes in the business world, right? Like a lot of large corporations can easily implement all this. So how do you do it as a small business and keep it affordable and effective? And you guys have
Right.
done a great job of helping us figure that out, because that's not my strength. That's your strength. And so I need your team to help me make those decisions.
Absolutely. We're happy to do it, and I'm happy to hear we've been doing it for a while. Kind of looking ahead, what would you say you value most about the partnership today?
The day-to-day support, knowing
Mhm.
that all the little things that happen in the day, we can just make a phone call or put in a ticket request on the computer and it'll be handled. And so not all needs are immediate, some are.
Mhm.
So having that hands-on support always. And I don't think I've ever called and someone hasn't answered the phone, which is wonderful.
Mhm. Awesome.
Because sometimes I feel really needy. And I'm like, is someone always going to be there to answer the phone? So,
Yes, yes, they will be. We have that in place. We're a live answer, so we're always going to be there. So, um, I want to ask you. So, as the company grows, as Safety Engineering Laboratories grows, um, how do you foresee, us continuing to support you in the future?
hmm, just keep me ahead of the game on technology.
Hmm.
You guys have done a wonderful job. Sometimes some of our software is older and it runs machines that we need to keep using, and you guys do a great job of using old software on new technology and helping us figure out the licensing. And I think just keeping the
Hmm.
environment secure,
Hmm.
keeping it available, continue to change, because as we've seen, every time technology changes, you need more space and more data, more storage, but yet it gets smaller. You're using more, but it's getting smaller. And so we just need to make sure that we're always ahead of that or on top of it.
Right.
So my network is always up and running.
Absolutely. No, it's very important. Um, I think you kind of already said this in, the other part of our conversation, but what would you say just keeps you guys coming back and saying we're going to continue with you, maybe hopefully another 15 years?
Your reliability, you're trustworthy, all your support desk staff, making sure that they are understand the questions we're asking, able to figure, if they can't figure out, know when to elevate each ticket. And the courtesy, it really helps to make sure that the, the reps answering the phone are happy.
Hmm.
you know,
Absolutely.
it makes a difference knowing that they like their employer, which I know Grit is a great company to work for. Every one of your staff that comes in here is always happy and cheerful and loves working for Grit. And,
Yeah.
your office atmosphere is a lot like it is here. We have that same camaraderie and
Yeah.
understanding. You spend most of your day with the people you work with, and you should respect each other. You should enjoy it. And so continuing and seeing that in your staff allows us to continue to work with you. If you're calling in and someone is grumpy or short with you, you don't want to call them for help, right? Because you're a help desk. We're calling you for help. And so to have that positive attitude and constant feedback of where you're at in the process, we do like that the communication is there. Did we fulfill what you asked us? Do you
Right.
need anything? Is there closure there? That asking for feedback is helpful for us.
Awesome. Yeah, we definitely continue to do that. We really want to make sure we're doing the right job. Would it be safe to say that you would recommend Grit to another, technical company like yourself?
Definitely, yes.
Okay.
Every day.
Well, why is that?
Well, with 15 years experience of working with your company, you've always been reliable. I'll use my same words again. You've been reliable, you've been trustworthy. Um, you've worked for our best interests as much as your own, right? We're all in it to make money, but where's the best direction to put your money?
Right.
So I think we've just appreciated your support overall. Trying to think. Not a very eloquent thought process.
That's good. That's good. That's all good. That's why that's just having a conversation, so that's not a problem. Um, I'll we'll we'll land the plane here. I got one or two questions left for you. So if you were to describe your experience with Grit in say one or two sentences, what would you say?
It's been well worth my money.
Yeah.
It's been a great company to work with, whether it's the staff or the technology that you have implemented in here. It's just been easy to work with you. I haven't felt like the relationship is a chore, like I get the answers that I need when I need them.
Good. I think those are all. I think those are very. Yeah, I think that's good enough. I think those are very, just very key, important
I need
points.
to feed that into Chat GPT and let it tell me. And I go, yes.
You say this. Yes, this is what I want to say. Oh my goodness, that's awesome. Any other final thoughts or comments you'd like to make on the relationship over a decade of working together?
Keep it up. I mean,
Okay.
keep growing, keep ahead of the technology curve or stay on top of it and
Yep.
keep the work environment that you have for your staff.
Mhm.
Yeah, I'm great. I'm glad to see the next generation because they've handed it over to the next generation, right? It's great to see that has been successful and
Mhm.
we believe in that. We're going on our third generation actually here in the next
How are you? Okay.
5 to 10 years. So we like to see the transition and the family atmosphere that you guys have. So both
Yeah.
between your work environment and your work ethic.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely.